Hello artists, today we are going to be inspired by Pacita Abad. We're going to pick one of our favorite landmarks and give it a bit of a makeover. Are you ready? Pacita was born in the northern Philippines, but she lived and traveled all over the world, including here in Singapore. Her travels really inspired her work, and you can see that in a lot of her paintings. A couple of years ago, she was honored with a Google Doodle, inspired by her bright and bold artwork. Now, when she lived here in Singapore, she did a residency at the Singapore Tyler Print Institute. And one thing is for sure, Pacita definitely left her mark on this city. You can find some of her work at the National Gallery here in Singapore. And while she was here, she created a series of paintings called Circles in My Mind. She used embroidery and sequins. Sometimes she sewed little pieces of glass and beads and things in there. And she loved color. But across from the Print Institute was the Alcaf Bridge, and it was kind of boring gray, and she thought it needed a bit of a makeover. So she did a lot of planning, and she got permission, and she was finally able to paint the bridge. Now, unfortunately, just before she got permission to paint the bridge, she was also diagnosed with brain cancer. So a lot of the time when she was working on the bridge, she was actually in the hospital. She'd get out of the hospital in the daytime and then go back for treatment in the evenings. Luckily, she had a lot of help painting the bridge, and she used 55 different colors to paint that bridge. And the bridge is beautiful. It crosses the river at Robertson Quay, and thankfully, Pacita was well enough to see the bridge finished. Now, if you get a chance to walk across this bridge, one thing is for sure, it's gonna make you smile. It's almost impossible to walk across that bridge and not be put in a better mood. All right. I hope you've picked your favorite landmark, because it's now our turn. Now, perhaps you love the Eiffel Tower or the Sydney Opera House. Maybe you think Big Ben could use a bit of a refresh. Or how about the Leaning Tower of Pisa? Or it could be my favorite, the Pyramids of Giza. You're going to need some paper, oil pastels, and some fabric dye. Now, I chose to do the Merlion. Now, I did it in marker so it would show up better on the camera, but you're going to draw your favorite landmark, and then you're going to color it with oil pastels. All right? So be careful, they're a little bit soft, but you want to do a nice bold coloring of whatever the landmark that you chose is. Now, the thing about oil pastels is they resist paint, or in our case, we're going to use fabric dye. Because of the oil in them, the color won't stick to it. So once you've finished coloring it, you're going to just wipe a color of fabric dye all over your painting. Now, don't worry about that paint or the dye that's sitting on top of the Merlion there. We're going to take a paper towel and just dab that off, and then let that dry, and you have a beautiful makeover of a landmark. Here's some examples from the past that I've had students do, different landmarks that they have chosen to give a refresh to. So I hope this gives you some ideas for your project. I can't wait to see what you create. All right, are you ready? Go forth and be brilliant.